Delacey Paisley. What a great conversation. She's so motivating. She's a leadership coach. Great past. I should say, very interesting. Born in New York City, now in the greater Virginia D.C. area, and 20 years of corporate work. Moved to real estate and coaching, and she's an author now. She's got a podcast. It's the dope mindset. I'm from the child of the '80s. We use the word dope all the time. Then it was, meaning I guess kind of it replaced kind of fresh. I guess was the term that many of you, I don't know if we get that reference or not, but she's got this whole mindset of how to lead, and we go through her affirmations on her site that I noted that I really enjoyed. We talk a lot about meditation and leading and journaling, and how she incorporates lyrics into many of her coaching and her philosophies. But it's a great conversation with her. I took so many kind of personal notes, to refresh. We talk about vision boards too. I don't know how many of you do that, but you've got to refresh that a bit. We talk a little bit about meditation too, as I said, and how people get stuck there, and people try to control things they can't control. And she's got great advice on that. Just a wonderful conversation. Time went by so quickly with Delacey Paisley. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. Lacy, thank you so much for your time today. I'm so excited to talk to you. Don't be afraid of losing people. Be afraid of losing yourself trying to please everyone around you.
For sure.
Why is that? That's one of your posts.
I think we shouldn't. A lot of the times we lose ourselves trying to conform or to be something to someone else instead of being true to ourselves. And I think our authenticity is really important, to show up every day as who you are. And a lot of times we lose ourselves because we can't find who we actually are on the inside because we're so busy worrying about everything else on the outside.
What is this obsession that we have about trying to control things we can't control?
That's an interesting question. I think it comes from the desire to be perfect. And nobody's perfect. We're striving to improve every day, hopefully, right? But I don't think that there is no perfect, right? It's just the next step to the newer you or the next improvement, and we're afraid of failing. And I tell people all the time, take a chance on trying something different, whether that's for yourself or your business or whatever it is that you're doing, because even if you fail, there's a future in failure because you're not starting over, you're starting from experience.
Mm. Hopefully, you're learning from the failure. You won't let it happen again.
Absolutely. That's the
You
goal.
have the, that is the goal. Yeah, you have the power to protect your peace. Another one of your quotes.
You're getting all of my quotes. We do have the power to protect our peace. We have the right to walk away from things that don't provide us peace, right? The things
Mm.
that disturb our peace. And if we would decide, right? It's a choice, it's a decision. If we would decide to walk away from those things that are disturbing our peace, we then can protect the peace and be a better us and a better us for ourselves, but also for our households, for our communities, and for the world.
And they really tie into each other, don't they, Delacey? You don't be afraid of losing people. Trying to please everybody around you, and power to protect your peace. Again, this is trying to control things you can't control, but you can control your peace.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and I think that we often don't realize that we are in control of that
Mm.
part. While we're so not in control of so many other things that happen around us, happen for us in life, we are in control of that part because it's really about how you respond to things. Things are going to happen. Or I tell people our trauma is not your fault, right? But your
Hmm.
healing is your responsibility.
Hmm.
And if we understand that piece, that part can give us the beginning of our piece, and we can build on that and we can expound on that and we can continue to move forward in that space of protecting our peace, not worrying about the other things that are on the outside that we have no control over.
And you talk about trauma, Delisa. You have experience there. You experienced it at your workplace. You're a victim of domestic violence as well. You were homeless for a brief while. So this kind of trauma you can't control, but like you say, you can control your healing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been through a number of things, but I think your determination is what actually helps you to be resilient, right? To have
Hmm.
that bounce back, to be able um, to be an what I call an overcomer
Hmm.
versus a survivor. I say I'm an overcomer of these things because I feel like to survive is to be left alive,
Hmm.
and I want to live. And so if I want to live, then I'm an overcomer of these things. I'm not
Hmm.
just left alive and here, because that leaves you in a space of victimhood and it leaves you sitting in that trauma. Um, when we are overcomers, we've overcome those things. We've jumped those hurdles. We're beyond it, and we can figure out how we can be better for it.
Hmm. But Lacey, some of us really get stuck, don't we? We just kind of get stuck in a place. We're there for too long of a time. We're trying to control things we can't control, or we're worrying about things we don't have, wish we had, and we just get stuck there. How any advice on how to remove ourselves from there?
Absolutely. We're so busy trying to be all things to all
Mm.
people at all times
Mm.
that we lose ourselves. And that's where we get stuck. We're that hamster on the wheel, and the wheel's going and we're moving a million miles a minute, but we don't realize that we're not going anywhere. And so if you want to get unstuck, you have to start with yourself. You have to start with your own healing. It's a mindset thing. It really is about creating that determination. Like, I don't want to sit here. It's that acknowledgement of the
Mm.
space where you are and being, I don't want to be in this space anymore. I don't want to be the hamster on the wheel that's just moving and moving and moving and going nowhere. I actually want to make some strides to get to the next level or to be the next version of myself. When we do that, we decide in our minds, it's really a mindset thing. And then, but that's not where it ends, right? Because you have to believe that you can make these strides, you can get out of that situation, you can get unstuck. And once you decide that you want to be unstuck, now you make a plan, right? And I believe that you make a plan with the big goal, but then you chunk out those goals with different milestones and different things that are going to actually help you to be like,
Mm.
hey, I'm not the hamster on the wheel anymore. This wheel is actually moving. I'm getting somewhere. And celebrate those wins, celebrate those milestones as you accomplish them, and then on to the next one. And then sometimes we have to tweak our goals and reestablish our goals and things like that. But I think it starts right here. A lot of the times we're defeated in our own minds. We're paralyzed because we won't take a step because we don't feel that we're in the position. And a lot of us have perfection paralysis where
Mm.
it has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, then I can't launch it. And so we have failure to launch because we're thinking it has to be perfect.
I like what you said there about chunk out. Many of us, like you say, we just think we can leap over it quickly, and if we're not there, we get frustrated. But perhaps small steps are what needed to get us out of this little funk.
Absolutely. My youngest child was a hurdler, right? And as a hurdler, I would watch him hurdle. And you have to start somewhere, right? So you start with just that little motion of trying to get your form right so that you know that you can get over that hurdle.
Mm.
But the finish line isn't the first hurdle. The finish line is after you've accomplished getting over all of the hurdles. So
Mm.
the hurdles don't stop, right? They're still there. You got to get over the one, and you practice and you get your form right and you get your speed right and you get your steps right and you get over that one hurdle, and now there's another hurdle. But after you've gotten that rhythm and that motion to get over that first one, you feel like, hey, I can get over the next one. And then you get over the next one, but the hurdles are still there. They don't just go away. When you get to the finish line, you're like, I did it, right? I got
Mm.
over. And you look back and you can see all of the hurdles that you've gotten over. And so I think trying to change our mindset and things like that, if we look at it in that perspective, we can really do a lot, because I can get over the first one, the next one. I'm at the finish line and look back at all of the accomplishments, all of the hurdles that you've gotten over, and give yourself credit for that.
Hmm. Yeah, well said. And it's very, yeah, hurdles. It's interesting. It's a great metaphor as well, isn't it? Physical and
Absolutely.
yeah. So after 20 years in corporate leadership, you transitioned to real estate coaching, an author, and of course, your brand, the dope life brand. Talk to me about that. So I really like it a lot. So cool.
Thank you so much. I came up with the Dope Life brand. I was still in corporate. I had become a certified coach, and I was launching a program for my clients. And when I was launching the program, I said, you know, what's going to help people to write? It was to become their best self, but mind, body, and spirit, right? Your mind, body, and your soul. And I came up with DOPE. It's DOP for dope on purpose. And so it's an acronym. And dope on purpose is just being intentionally dope. And the definition that I assign to the word dope is someone or something excellent, great, impressive.
Hmm.
And we oftentimes forget how impressive we are, right? We're comparing ourselves to other people and their accomplishments, and not in a way that motivates us, in a way that stifles us and paralyzes us. And so I wanted people to realize, like, you have to tap into your dopeness. It's already in you. But if you tap into it, if you uncover it, if you activate it, then you can do so many things. And so I created the Dope Life brand, right? It came it was called the Dope Life Detox Program. It was the first program that I launched. And in that program, it was a 22-day program,
Hmm.
and there were daily affirmations for everyone. And everyone said when they gave the feedback after the program, one of their favorite parts was the affirmations. And so then I ended up writing a book of affirmations. So I added more affirmations. So it's called I Am the Dopest. And that's one of the affirmations, 55 affirmations for living your dope life. And that was the start of the Dope Life brand and the movement. When I'm on my podcast, I say, hey, dope people, it's your girl Paisley. I'm the mindset makeover maven and the Dope Life movement creator,
Mm.
because I want to see everybody do the best that they can for themselves. And sometimes we
Yeah.
just have to tap into our dopeness.
And you certainly do that. The Sip It and Soul Speak. I've watched some of that. That's very fun as well. You have a great time there.
Yeah, we do. Thanks.
Very great time, and it's great to be witness to that and see it. I enjoy the banter. Give yourself some grace. You deserve it.
Absolutely. We all deserve grace, and we should all extend grace as well. Um, we have no idea what someone else is going through,
Mm.
and they have no idea what we're going through. And if we can learn to extend grace, not just to others, because I think a lot of times we think that grace, we have to extend that to others. We have to extend grace to ourselves. That today is the first day that you've ever been this age and in this place, and every day is like that. I'm 52 years old, so if I'm 52 in 2 months and one day, then this is the first day that I've ever been 52
Mm.
in 2 months and one day. And I have to extend myself some grace, as long as I'm learning the lessons and not repeating the same things over and over again. Give yourself some grace. I tell people that when I started meditating, I remember when I first started trying to meditate, oh my gosh, I was like, who does this? This is like the most ridiculous thing ever. I'm like, I don't understand it. I would try to meditate, I would fall asleep.
Mm.
I tried an app, it just didn't work for me. But later, when I needed meditation, like actually, like super needed it in my life, I tried it again. And this time I gave myself grace and I used a different app, because you can't keep using the same things over and over thinking that you're going to get a different result, right? So I used a different app and I got on there and I listened. It was a 20-minute meditation. And I said, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to really give it a good effort. And I put myself in a mindset, number one, to actually, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it my best effort. But I also had to extend myself some grace, because out of 20 minutes, I probably meditated for 60 seconds the first time that I
Mm.
that I tried it again. And I was like, okay, I did it for a minute, right? And then the next time, 5 minutes, and then, 7 minutes. And it got to the point where I really was like, I could calm my mind, but I had given myself grace. Whereas before, I was like, oh, I didn't
Hmm.
get it. It doesn't work.
I have people that I'm trying to convince to meditate, and they say the same thing. I mean, once it clicks, it works really well. I keep on making the metaphor of, they keep on saying there's too many thoughts in my head, and I say, well, imagine the thoughts are the clouds, and you're looking at them. They're outside of you, and
Right.
hopefully that'll help you rest a little. And but once it happens and you see the benefits, but you just don't want to stop.
Exactly.
And
It's
it's
like,
so
wait a minute, I
simple.
need to meditate.
Yeah, yeah. and it's, it's free, and it's,
Absolutely.
and it's so beneficial. It just puts your mind at ease, and just a couple of minutes just does a world of difference for me. And I whoever's listening, if you're having objections with it, just keep at it, please.
For sure. And keep at it, and also try it in different ways. Try it
Mm,
in different places. If your current space that you're trying to meditate isn't working for you, try a different space. Try outside. Try
mm,
inside.
mm.
Try, in a dark place. And whatever works, just try something different, because it can make a world of difference in your life, in your mindset, and how you move forward.
Yeah, I don't want to get too kind of woo woo, Paisley, but I mean, one of the things that helped me in the beginning, and this is for those who need it, if this helps, is that kind of grounding. I like kind of walking on the grass, or,
Hmm.
with my bare feet, without
Yeah,
anything, it's just grounding, and that kind of helps relax a bit, and helps with meditation sometimes as well. I suggest that, but how about journaling? Do you journal as well?
I do journal. I'm not a consistent journaler. I
Mm,
journal when there's times that I feel like I really, really, really need to journal. I In the month of November, I do it's called the Dope Life Gratitude Challenge. So every day I go live and I share three different things that I'm grateful for, and I put those in a jar, and I share that with my audience, right? But I also do it just randomly, because it gives me that way of reminding me you do have something to be grateful for. And I do three, because finding one thing to be grateful for is can be easy, right? Three is can be a challenge, because you're like,
yeah.
okay, what is that second and third thing that I need to be grateful for? So I do some journaling, and I do the writing, what I'm grateful for. I put it in, it's a vase that I have, but I put it in there because it's clear, and I can see
Hmm.
when I'm having that moment when I'm just like, I can go and look at this jar and say, look at all these things I've had to be grateful for. And if I'm really feeling some kind of way, I can open it up and read, oh, on this date, I had this to be grateful for. And it kind of just reminds you and gives you a smile, that you can, hey, you know what? Okay, this might not be so bad.
Yeah, Paisley, and gratitude. You spend a lot of time of it on your social media. It's so important. I love you. Kind of have these three. I'm assuming you're posting what you're grateful for,
Yes.
and it was really I enjoyed them so much. A couple of them that I want to share with anyone who's listening: intuition, the Dale Carnegie course, warm fuzzy socks.
Yes. So, wow, you went back. So, yeah, I didn't always trust my intuition, right? So,
Mm,
on that day, I was just like, I had tapped into trusting my gut. And so I was grateful for kind of that revelation. Um, the Dale Carnegie course I took probably 20 years ago. And it, it was life changing
mm,
for me. And so the book itself, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is one of the books that I recommend people either read or listen to annually, just to refresh yourself and get back into it. And then I do, so it was November, right, when I do the gratitude challenge. I love warm fuzzy socks. Like, it's the
mm.
littlest thing, and nobody would even really think about, oh, I'm grateful for socks. I'm so grateful when my little toes are so cozy in my
Good
socks
for
and it's
you.
wintertime and they are nice and warm. I love it.
Hmm. Grace, my coasters, and peace.
So, um, grace is that what we are talking about just a minute
Mm,
ago, right? Is giving myself grace and giving grace to others. My coasters, I love nice coasters. So I
Huh.
probably have one like right here. I have these little coasters that
Nice.
I love, love, love. So, and I, the third one, you said grace my coasters and peace.
Peace.
Peace. Oh my gosh, peace.
Yeah.
Like just to sometimes sit alone and be with your own thoughts can be so peaceful.
Hmm. When I saw my coasters, I didn't know if you meant roller coasters. I didn't know if you meant, the band from the 60s, Charlie Brown and so but I'm glad I got clarity there.
Yeah, I do. I love my little coasters. Actually, for our 150th episode, we had a company called Reclaim Joy that made coasters for us that say "sippin'," and so and everybody was just like, "Oh, these are so perfect!" And I just I love something nice to sit your cocktail or your water. I
Mm.
always have something
Yeah, me too.
nearby to sip on. So,
Long baths, my chiropractor, forgiveness.
oh my goodness. I probably take a bath 98% of the time.
Mm.
Um, and it's a whole thing for me. And that's where I do meditation sometimes. I can, turn on my meditation music. I can light my candles. I can make my bath, next level, like luxury bath with bath salts or bubbles or whatever. And I can just soak there because and especially if I'm having a rough day, for me, I feel like I can get in that bath and I can sit there and soak all my troubles, and they like go into the water,
Mm.
and then the water goes down the drain, and it's like
Hmm.
it's so, for me, metaphorically speaking,
Mm.
physically speaking, all of the things, like if you put your nice bath oils and body scrubs or whatever it is that you love, and I tell people, do what works for you, because some things work better for other people, right? And I just I love my long baths. So that's one of my things. You said, what was the second one?
My chiropractor,
Oh, my
forgiveness.
chiropractor. Whew. I have scoliosis, and so I have a chiropractor that I love to go to and get my adjustments and get everything in alignment, right? And so getting your life aligned, getting your body aligned,
Mm.
those things are amazing. And that third one was what?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Mm.
Forgiveness is, I believe we look at it wrong in a lot of ways. We think that forgiveness is for other people, and it's really for us.
Mm.
We forgive others so that we can get along. Like sometimes it is for the other person, right? They need to they've apologized and they need to be forgiven. And sometimes we're never going to get the apology that we're looking for. We're never going to get that person to acknowledge what they've done or how it made us feel. And that doesn't mean that you can't forgive them. You can still forgive them because it's not for them, it's for you in that moment.
Mm.
And sometimes we hold on to things so tightly and we wonder why we can't get anywhere. It's because I can't put anything into your closed fist. So if
Hmm.
we're holding on so tightly to this thing that is hurting us and we won't let it go, then now we're stuck again, right? We're stuck in the space. But if we open it, our hands, we can release it, and then now other things can get in there.
Hmm.
So forgiveness is, it is not always easy, but I believe it's required.
Hmm. Yeah, and I like what you said there. It's more for you than it is to the person you or the event or whatever you're forgiving. It's
Right.
why did you go into coaching? Why do that?
As being in corporate leadership for 20 plus years, I was always coaching. I was a leader of leaders.
Mm.
So and that's where I got my greatest joy, when I would coach and develop my team or my staff or the people that I worked with to accomplish our goals, to meet our KPIs, to for them to be able to promote into a position that they wanted. I That was probably my favorite, was seeing people be promoted into different positions, and
Mm.
being able to see things in people and to acknowledge that, hey, you know what, you have this gift, you have this skill. Have you thought about this, and have you thought about that? So I've always been coaching people. um, i I really decided to get certified as a coach because I had an employee that we were probably as different could possibly be.
Hmm.
And one day they were having some different health struggles and things like that. And they came into my office. I hadn't seen them in a while. And they said, "Hey, where have you been?" And I'm like, "I've been here. Where have you been? I haven't seen you." It just so happened that they were working a different schedule than I was, different days off, things like that. So we hadn't come across each other's path. And at the end of that conversation of them just kind of popping by my office and sticking their head in and say, "Hey, I see you're here," they said, "I missed you." And I was like, "Oh wow, like I missed you too, right?" Having these
Hmm.
little, pop in chats or whatever. And not very long after that, that person had been going through some, like I said, some physical things, and they looked miserable with all of the restrictions that they were having in order to
Hmm.
try to maintain their health. And um, not long after, they passed away
Ah.
and left a family, um, a spouse, and children. And I that really touched me to say, I want to be able to help people to um, not be miserable in the changes that they're trying to make in their life,
Mm.
because this person was actively trying to do the things that they needed to do to be more healthy, and but they didn't look happy doing it. And I think if we start to recognize the mind and body connection, that we can find ways to um, be happy and healthy.
Hmm.
And so that's when I decided to become a certified coach. So I was still in corporate leadership when I was doing that.
What's the difference between a leader and a manager?
A manager to me just kind of, it's it's a job, right? A manager, you're just kind of managing the day to day. You're trying to do what you need to do to go home.
Hmm.
So I think a leader, um, I think most leaders are born.
Hmm.
I think that people can be coached into being good leaders, um, but leaders care. Leaders are not just trying to hit the numbers. They realize that there is a connection between the person and the work that they do. And so sometimes we forget that these are people, and they come to work and they bring their entire self to
Hmm.
work. And I think good leaders are the people that realize that. We realize we're leading people, not just managing them. So we're managing the work, but these are people, and we're leading them so that they can manage to do the work that we need them to do.
Hmm. I've had managers before that believe they were leaders.
Yeah.
And just because people report to you doesn't mean you're a leader.
Yeah.
It's a mindset thing, and you've got to look forward a
Yes.
bit more. That's why I always kind of ask that question, because And it could be a hard discussion with someone, right? I'm not saying you give up on them, of course, but you just have to. You're not acting like a leader, though. You're acting like a manager, and here's what we need to do. You ever come across something like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had people to come to me and say, hey, Joey's not doing his job. He's,
Mm,
like, okay, well, how long has Joey been here? Joey's been here for 5 years. Well, has Joey always not done his job in 5 years? And they're like, well, no, this just, lately in the last month, he's been failing at this and failing at that and failing at whatever. And you're like, my first thing would be to say, did you ask Joey if he's
mm,
okay?
mm,
Like,
mm,
if this is not normal for him, maybe he's going through something, because people bring their whole self to work. And they would look at me a lot of the times like I had foreheads. Like,
mm,
what do you mean did I ask him if he's okay? He
mm.
needs to do this task. He needs to create these widgets. He needs to, and and I'm saying, you're managing Joey, but how are you going to lead Joey? You're a leader, because I was a leader of leaders, right? And so you're like, how are you going to lead Joey to do this if you don't even care what happened earlier, or if he's having a situation, whether he wants to talk to you about it or not? We also have resources that we can guide him to. Hey, you know what? If things are getting a little tough for you, um, you know just ask those questions. People, you can see the weight like
Mm,
release from their shoulders when
mm.
you just say, hey, are you okay? And sometimes they're like, why are you asking? Right? Because it seems, if you're not that person that's always say, hey, how's it going today? Just stop by. Hey, how's it going today? If you're not that person, but now you ask, they may become suspicious, right? Well, why are you asking me that? But if you show genuine concern and care for people, they they'll produce for you without you even needing to micromanage them.
Yeah, it's a great example, basically, because a leader wouldn't ask that question. A leader would take it upon themselves to pull them aside. I don't know, maybe have a cup of coffee or something, ask what's going on. But a manager would be like, "Hey, they're not meeting these goals and deadlines. There's something wrong. We've got to." So it's just it's a mind shift there, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. I would always, when I would go from one position or location to another location, and you have a new team, I would say, take care of your people. I would tell my people that I was leaving, take care of your people, because they'll take care of you.
Right.
If you take care of them, they'll take care of you. And your job as a leader is to manage them up, right? You're supposed to manage them up. And yeah, I've walked into situations where people were like, these people, nobody's meeting expectations. And I'm like, hmm, everybody needs improvement. And I'm like, hmm. And I pay attention and I listen and I say, well, why do you say that? And they come back to me and rattle off, they got written up for this and that and the other thing and so on and so forth. And I'm like, so if you have a team of 20 people that report to you, and 15 of them needs improvement, as their leader, what would you expect to get for your evaluation?
Mm, mm,
And they would look like, well, I'm doing my job. Well, are you? Because your job is to lead these people, and your job is to manage the goals that they have. And so if if your entire team is not good, then you kind of have to wonder,
yeah.
have I been able to manage these people up so that they can get to at least where they need to be? And sometimes you got people in the wrong seats. You have people that are sitting in the wrong spaces because they came into this job and it wasn't a fit for them. And sometimes you have to figure, hey, is there a different seat for this person to sit in where they're going to perform better? It's not always that, you can't manage everybody up. You got to manage them out. And manage them out doesn't mean that you get rid of them. Sometimes they're just the right butt in the wrong seat, and
Mm,
they need to be matched up with the right seat. And that's your job as a leader. And so if you're telling me that your entire team is not performing, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel like you're performing?
Mm. Yeah, very good. If the entire team is not performing well, there's something a little sketchy there. Yeah. There's something that needs to be reviewed. You have a great post on vision boards with vision, goal, actions, and create. You have the funnel there. How important are vision boards to you,
They're
Paisley?
very important. When I started coaching, that's one of the things that really took off as a part of my programs was vision board workshops, and then the pandemic hit, and we couldn't do vision boards in person, but people really still needed them. Like during the pandemic, we needed to be able to see our vision and put some things down on paper. So I started doing vision board workshops even virtually, and I believe we have to be able to write the vision. We have to be able to see ourselves in certain places. I think that when you are just sit back and you're like, "Hey, this is my goal," um, it, it's okay, but how are you going to get there? Right? Are you able to put it into um, a vision where you can see it regularly? And I find that even with the last vision board workshop that I taught, um, I shared an older vision board that I had, and I said I had even forgotten that I had put this hot air balloon on my vision board,
Hmm.
and um, but I had accomplished that goal. I took the hot air balloon flights in the area were booked. They book up like immediately,
Hmm.
and so I put myself on a wait list. And I think Friday afternoon, they called and said, "Hey, we have an opening. Would you like to go on the flight?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." It was the next day. We got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and drove out because it was a sunrise flight. And I got to actually, it was beautiful. I got to actually accomplish my goal.
Hmm.
But I had even forgotten that I put it on my vision board
Hmm.
until I went back and looked at it. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is on my vision board. And, so I've been able to see a lot of things um, through visualizing them and putting them on vision boards.
Yeah, just as we're talking, I write. When I see things, especially that I actually write, it just better cements in my memory. And yeah, a vision board. And to keep it updated, some people kind of do it and just kind of leave it alone for a while. But taking a look at it and updating it can be very beneficial for many people. I believe, and it looks like you do as
Yeah.
well. So I started my business in the '90s, and I was working way too hard. Paisley, way too hard, and I was working 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this. And wasn't paying attention to my health and was sleeping poorly, was eating poorly, stopped my exercise. Before you know it, I found myself at 340 pounds. And the doctor said to me, if I don't lose the weight, you're not gonna see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born. So I spent the next 6, 7 months, lost about 130 pounds. And people ask me how, and they want some quick answer. Everybody wants these quick fixes, right? And so the one word answer I always give is just discipline.
Right.
That's how I did it. Discipline. So I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life, Delacey Paisley.
Discipline it's so important, because if we don't find the time or make the time to create a little bit of structure in our life, right? That because that's really what discipline is. And you create that structure in your life so that you can follow something. For me, I'm a planner. I've been using planners back when I think and when I was in high school, I had a day runner. And then I graduated to Franklin Covey planners. And then I graduated to, I use what it's called a happy planner now. But being able to write these things down, appointments, goals, things that I have upcoming, in a planner, it gives me that discipline. It gives me that structure. I know that on, this day of the week, I need to take these actions, right? And
Mm.
like even in my real estate business, there's certain days that I do certain things, because real estate's so fluid. There's going to be, things that adjust, but I know that during the week I need to accomplish these certain goals. And that discipline that you have really gives you the ability to focus. And I think a lot of times we're out of focus, right? We're so out of focus. Everything's blurry, and we just look at things like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. But if we get disciplined and we get a little bit of structure for our lives, then we can start to check off things, right? And say, oh, you'd be surprised the things that you can accomplish when create that structure and discipline for yourself. Because now you're checking off these things. You're like, I never thought I had the time. I hear people say all the time, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. And it really becomes making the time. And it has to be important enough to you. And it's that big rocks, right? You take those big rocks. Hey, I have these
Mm.
goals that I want to accomplish, and I have to put them in there first. Family, you know, business, whatever those big rocks are. And now you realize, hey, I have these other things. And now you start to put those other little rocks in. And now you got the pebbles in the sand. And you
Mm.
realize, hey, I can accomplish more if I do it in a structured way that's going to allow me to say, oh, you know what? I can do these, because some things we can do simultaneously, right? I can listen to an audio book and walk or run if that's what I want to do. But I have to want to do it. And then I create that structure around it. And that discipline will help you to get to the next level and the next level and the next level.
Have you always had that mindset about discipline, do you think, even as a child?
I think even as a child, I was probably an entrepreneur by the time I was 8 years old.
Mm.
And I've always kind of had my own business. Um, I looked at things like there wasn't anything that I couldn't do. I could just do it differently, right? It might not
Mhm.
be. I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was a kid. I'm like, I'm going to be a fashion designer. And I couldn't draw. This was before, computer aided design and all that stuff. Like, it was in my head, but it would not come out on the paper. And even now, I talked not long ago about the fact that I am a designer. I created a line of handbags that I created myself. I designed them. So it's, you have to figure out how you can do things differently to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. It doesn't always look the same way.
It certainly doesn't. Yeah, I remember even as a child thinking about some things that I had or saw, and it's like, wow, I would just do that differently. Yeah, that I wonder. I never consider it as an entrepreneur mindset, but I guess it really is. Yeah, just looking things just a little bit differently. You have some great affirmations, of course, in your book and up on your social media. I noted a few that I really, really like. Love yourself. First love you and all your dopeness. You will always wake up with yourself.
Absolutely. Um, you you have to wake up with you every single
Mhm.
day, and that mind body connection again. If we our bodies do amazing things without us even having to do anything, right? We breathe it, our blood pumps and all of these things, and we don't even acknowledge our bodies for that. We're very critical of ourselves, like, I don't look like this. Well, let's start to love ourselves and who we are, and all of the things that we can do.
Mm.
And then we can get to that next step, right, of really showing up for ourselves and our people and our communities.
Mm. When I was first learning about you and I was so excited to talk to you, you kept mentioning dope and, that's what you came up with your plan. And there's this line in Public Enemy song where Chuck D talks about dope. And it's just, you kind of hear it and it can be used as slang. It can be used as, as a complimentary, of course. And, I have a lot of friends that it's just a great term. And you're the first one I've ever heard it incorporate into kind of a mission. It's a wonderful use of it.
Yeah, I speak in lyrics sometimes.
Yeah,
A lot of the
I
times
saw
I
that.
speak in
Yeah.
lyrics. And there's a lot of lyrics and songs that have dope. I think in the 80s,
Mm,
dope became a term of um, like that's cool, that's hot,
mm,
that's you know,
mm.
it's fire, or whatever that
It's
anyone
fire
would call
now.
it. But it's really um, for me, when I was putting together the Dope Life movement, I'm like, I think a lot of people understand dope, right? Some people
Mm,
might not, and that's okay. They're not my audience.
mm,
But for me, if you understand that dope is someone or something excellent, great, impressive, right? And that you are dope, that means that you are someone who's excellent, great, impressive,
mm,
but on purpose, right? And so I took the E off. And so dope is DOP with the long O diacritic mark over the O sign, over the O, right? And if you realize that you're dope on purpose, then it's the on purpose part. It's the intention behind it. I think that our intentions can help us to determine our actions. And I'm dope on purpose, not by accident. Like I'm waking up and I'm choosing to live my life in this way. And a lot of the times we think that like things, life happens to us. And even to your point, right, you got up and your doctor said, hey, if you don't make a change in your life, you will not be able to see your daughter graduate.
mm.
And you said, that's motivation. I'm doing this on purpose. It is with intention that I am going to make a change in my life. I'm going to start moving. I'm going to eat differently. I'm going to do these things. But it had to start here. It was already in you to do it. You just had to activate it. And so it's the intention behind it. You had to just say, hey, on purpose, I'm going to do this intentionally. And that's what the Dope Life movement is about.
The dopest thing you can do is be loyal to yourself.
Absolutely. Um, there's a lot of conversation about loyalty.
Mm,
Um, and usually it's about relationships. But the relationship that matters the most is the one with yourself.
mm,
If you can't show up for you, how can you show up for other people? You
mm,
have to, you can't pour from an empty cup.
mm,
We're supposed to pour from the overflow. And our cups are empty. And yet we're still trying to pour into someone else's cup. And so we're depleted. So you have to be loyal to yourself. It has to start with you, because you need to, whether that's meditation for you, getting up in the morning and starting your day with a morning ritual, whether that is getting enough sleep. A lot of times sleep is a big thing. People are not getting enough sleep. I got to do this, I got to do that for everybody else, and we're depriving ourselves of the things that we need that are going to fill our cups so that we can actually pour into these other cups that we want to make a difference in these other people's lives. we're
mm,
we're so busy showing up for everyone else that we forget to show up for ourselves.
mm. What motivates you, Delacey Paisley?
I'm motivated by a number of things. It changes over time. It has changed over time. I have adult children. When my kids were young, um, I was motivated. They were a big source of my motivation. I needed to show up. I had these little people that looked up to me, and I was responsible for them, and I was motivated by them. And as they grew up and grew into their own people and have mortgages and all that stuff, it's like, I'm sitting here like, okay, now I'm I have to do these things, but I know that my purpose is to inspire.
Hmm.
So I am motivated, by the fact that I can inspire people to be loyal to themselves, to realize that they're dope, to accomplish the things that they accomplish. When I am so It gives me such joy. I did a Dope Life Mastermind for women entrepreneurs. And when I go back and talk to those women who were in that first mastermind and see like where they've taken their businesses and the things that they've accomplished, I am so proud, like a mama, right? Like, oh my God, they've done these things, um, just because they were inspired.
So impact.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
rewarding when you help people, isn't it?
Yes, for sure.
And so, given that, how do you measure success?
Um, I measure success by those types of things, right? When I see my children being successful, I I done good, right?
Mm.
When I see other people who have walked into their purpose, um, that and I've had an impact on their life. Check. I
Mm.
I've been able to inspire other people to be their best self, to take their whatever it is, their thing, to the next level. I that is success for me. Seeing the success of others, and that I've had an impact, that's success for me.
Mm. It's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. And I hope that anybody listening today feels your energy, feels your motivation, your love, because it just comes out in your social media, in your literature that you write, and in your podcast. I just enjoy you so much. You're doing such great work. Thank you so much for your time today. Anybody listening, how can they get in touch with you?
I am Delacey Paisley on all platforms. So that's Delacy Paisley, Paisley, all together. So I'm Delacey Paisley on all platforms. I can be found at delaceypaisley.com. You can find my book. I have the next books coming out on this summer. It's called the Soul Sip Collection of Dope Life Affirmations. So that gives a little bit of sip and a lot of soul.
Mm.
So kind of blending the podcast, which you can find us on Wednesday nights. It's a live video podcast, so we go live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at Delacey Paisley currently. And we'll be moving some things to the YouTube platform very soon. So those are the places where you can find me.
Very good. Thank you so much, Delacey. I hope that if I'm ever in the greater DC area one day, we'll get a cup of tea together. I really look forward to it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to come and chat with you and your audience. I love what you're doing when you're talking about these discipline conversations. I think it's amazing, and not only is it amazing, it's needed. We need this for people who want to tap in and be their dopest self.
Thank you so much. You be well.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Would you like to financially support the podcast? You can go to our Patreon site. Consider $5, $10, or $20 a month. There's all kind of plans that we have there. There's like a one-time payment. What is this podcast episode worth to you? $25, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000. You be the judge. You can go to our PayPal account to do that as well. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Disciplined Conversations.